Okay, Ujulando Maganaduk, Kapemu, Sagiviris, Gurundas Migas, Okwandurin. I am part Anishinaabe, part Cree. And am I talking loud enough? The first teachings I got regarding finances was through my parents. And there's one that sticks out a lot, and they said money has a purpose. And you're always the boss of it, and it's never the boss of you. Because if it becomes the boss of you, you become obsessive about it. And you hoard it, or you're not as kind. Because we as a people are very compassionate to other people, and we always help each other out. And my parents always had enough money. There were many of us in the family, so there was always enough money for food, clothing. Clothing was always recycled so that the money could go further. And because there's always unexpected expenses, so they always needed extra. My mother was the bank because my dad had an addiction, so my mother was the banker. And because they had nobody to fall back on, just themselves, and they loved their children, they loved us very much, so they wanted to have enough food on the table and a roof over our head and clothing on our backs. So, and then they bought a house, so they had to have that money ahead of time, and they had to develop some sort of budget to buy the house and to be able to pay for the utilities and to have all the necessities. Plus, we would have relatives coming in from the reserves, so we always had to have enough groceries and to give them things to go back, because there wasn't that much on the reserve. And when the homes that they bought were not the best, so they had to refurbish them, redecorate them. So they went only as far as the money went, and we never suffered because of that. So they really managed everything. Even in the hunting, they managed that. When they hunted, they helped relatives out with the food in that way, and my dad trapped too, and that was extra money to come in for Christmas. But life is good when you know you can work with that money and not allow that money to overwhelm you and take over your life. Because I remember a lot of people, a lot of my relatives that got money from residential school, they gave it away and it was spent like water. They had it 1 minute and next minute was gone, so there was nothing to fall back on. And that's what my parents said, you always needed something for emergency and you always needed something to fall back on. So, do I always follow that rule? Sometimes not. So, but I know my limitations. Yeah, I know my limitations. So I'll save up and buy what I need.